Hi, today the microbiome. Isn't it interesting that it contains the letters OM? Yeah, and it's interesting too. I just got an email about a talk at 12 noon today from a friend of mine who is a raw foodist and a chef. The Healing Cuisine is the name of her business, and you could probably get it yourself. She's going to talk about the gut microbiome, how it affects us mentally. So this is not just a physical thing. And while I chat to you just a bit, I want you to sit up tall, not rigid, but straight, whether you need a chair, and that chair should have a firm seat and a straight back, or just perch yourself on the edge of something, or if you're able to sit cross-legged, that would be great. And I want to talk to you about the vagus nerve. It is literally connecting your head, your brain to your gut. And you know how easy it is to do this? It's just to breathe. So last week we talked about Ujjayi breathing, and but basically when you breathe with your lips together, you vibrate the glottis. And that's like, the glottis is the folds of the vocal cords where they meet the larynx, okay? So I know, probably more anatomy than you need to know, but for those of you who like to know, that is what the glottis is. So I want you to close your eyes and just breathe. Don't worry about the Ujjayi breathing, although if you want to be reminded of it, or if you missed last week's class, if you exhale, notice the way the back of your throat feels. And then when you exhale with your lips together, keep that shape in mind. So it's a bit of a tightening, making this area smaller to produce that sound. But even if you're not producing the sound, just by keeping your lips together, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of this vagus nerve, which will vibrate when you breathe with your lips together. So this is the constant connection between the intestines and your brain. And by the way, for those of you who like to sing, chant, hum, and don't forget, when you get a sore throat, gargling with warm water and salt, one of the best ways to kill the bacteria in the back of your throat. And just because I'm mentioning salt right now, try to buy the best you can buy. Celtic salt, the gray stuff doesn't look attractive, but believe me, you need salt in your body. So don't try to eat a no salt diet. You need it. Don't buy the white stuff, the processed stuff. It's just sodium chloride. I'm sure you guys all know about that. So that vagus nerve that is being vibrated as you breathe with your lips together, this is where we get to regulate internal organ function. Digestion is improved. Your heart rate is and your respiratory rate are all regulated. They all kind of sync up with one another. So for people who think that the breath is just something that the body does automatically and I don't have to think about it, wrong. Think about it. It's huge. It's bigger than you know. And because we're talking about the microbiome today, this is why it matters to breathe properly. Stress upsets the bacteria in the microbiome. Just by breathing consciously with awareness, you can change the variance of your mood by 40%. If you're sad, if you're angry, if you're upset, if you're fearful, you can change that by almost 50% just by calming down your breath with some of the techniques we've been working on. There are still more we will be talking about. Alrighty, so as you're breathing, you are stimulating and bringing energy to the microbiome, which, by the way, has as many cells as there are in the human body, but they are 1,000 times smaller. You cannot see them with the naked eye. The other important number that I want to tell you about in the microbiome is that there are 500 more genes than are in your entire genetic makeup. So the microbiome, not just responsible for your physical health, but your mental and your emotional health. So while you've just been breathing with your lips together, you are stimulating the connection, which is permanent, but it is improved. Just by breathing, you vibrate the glottis, which stimulates your vagus nerve. Okay, so whatever you're sitting on, I want you to come down onto the floor now. If you like, and you have a little cushion, again, this is this Runa that I'm a big fan of. I only discovered them about a year ago or less, but, and I have all kinds of cushions and zafus, and it's not that I needed something new and fancy. COVID has taught us that we don't need as much as we think we need, but when you find something great, you love it. Okay, so I want you to take your legs wide apart. You know, the thing is that we're gonna do a lot of the same things that we frequently do, but I'm always emphasizing with the theme that we have, what you're stimulating. So I'm not going to do the mirror image of this because I want you and all of us to be working and starting on the ascending colon first, which joins with the transverse, and then the descending colon. So legs are wide apart. As I said, if you want something underneath your butt, put a little cushion, or you can roll up the edge of your mat and turn in a different direction. My goal is to give you so many directions that you almost don't have to look, but you're sitting up tall with your legs wide apart. Feet are flexed, all right? And then inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, and I want you to turn sideways to the right. So I will look like the opposite, but because I want to do it the way that is best for you and for me. So reaching sideways, reach sideways. This pressing into the ascending colon helps to improve peristalsis. Inhale, one more inhale, reach and stretch. Exhale. Now lower your bottom hand wherever it manages to land, whether it's on the tips of your toes or your ankle or your calf, wherever it is. And then I want you to continue to reach and stretch with that upper arm. Reaching and stretching. Remember, don't do too much and don't do too little. Practice with awareness, respect, and compassion. Reaching, stretching. Inhale, reaching up. And lift up out of your waist. Exhale into the center. Compressing all the abdominal organs, stimulating digestion, metabolism, and elimination. Reaching into the center, whatever amount you can, reaching and stretching. One more inhale, reach and stretch, lengthen. You may even come up and lift your heart a little bit, and then leading with your heart forward, folding. You're going to feel this, of course, in your inner thighs, your groin, and we're okay with that, right? And this is also activating the hip flexors. The hip flexors, as well as the psoas. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the psoas when we start working it, but it's known as the muscle of the soul, which is an interesting term, but it is the only muscle that joins the top of your body with the bottom. So it connects your spine to your lower part of your body. Now, inhale, reaching up, stretching up. Lifting up. It's also the strongest of the hip flexors, the psoas. Now inhale, reach up, and you're going to go sideways over to the other side. That should be your left side, your descending colon. Your liver's on your right side. weighs about 3 pounds. So we just worked that. Now we're stretching the liver when we stretch to the left. So strengthening, stretching, helping mobility and motility, like moving those cells, moving and enervating everything. Inhale, reach and stretch a little bit more. Exhale, let that bottom hand land on the furthest part of the leg, whether it's your foot, ankle, or calf, and then continue to reach sideways. This stretching of the rib cage and the intercostal muscles creates more space for breathing. And we're going to be doing a posture today to create more space for all of your digestive organs and glands. Inhale, reach and stretch. And breathe. Remember, when we hold a posture, we don't hold the breath. Inhale, reach and stretch up. Exhale, float the arms down. Okay, let's bring the legs into the center. And we're going to do Ardha Matsyendrasana. Now, if you have something underneath your behind, it'd be a good time to take that out. You won't need that now. Pull the flesh away from your sits bones, rocking from side to side. So really feel that connection. Place your hands beside your hips. Dandasana, flex your feet a lot. And just breathe here, reaching from the tailbone right up through the crown of your head. And then one more, inhale, reaching, stretching up into Paschimottanasana. Inhale, lift up out of your waist. Exhale, lead with your hearts. Lengthen your spine. Please don't round your spine. Lengthen your spine. Already you're compressing here your abdominals, your lower intestines. You can feel that. One more, inhalation, reach and stretch. Exhale. And again, let your hands land on the furthest part of the leg extremity. Well, this makes me want to talk to you about something that I have spoken in the past when we were all together live. But if you have never had a colonic, it's an extremely intimate experience. And if you're concerned about cleansing, I'll tell you something. Most of us have 12 to 15 pounds of impacted waste products, waste of food, waste things that we've eaten, stuck to the walls of our intestines and our colon. And of course, eating lots of fiber. This is really important for your gut microbiome. So there's two types of fiber. There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber. So the insoluble fiber, think of it as a broom. This would be your bran. This would be, tiger nuts. This is something new. You can find those. Anyway, remember, you can always ask me questions. Email me if you have any questions. Let's inhale, walk the hands back up. So insoluble fiber is more of the dry kinds of fiber, whereas soluble fiber is more of the moist fiber, and it will glob onto toxins, waste, to help get the poop out in a nice, smooth, no grunting, no groaning, just that nice release, okay? So fiber is really, really, really important. But that compression, that kind of stimulates peristalsis. So again, as I say, after a yoga class, sometimes you might notice a difference in your bowel habits, maybe the next day or later in that day. All right, come on over onto all fours into tabletop. So we're going to talk more again about this psoas muscle, the muscle of the soul, but let's do a couple of cat and cows because it's a beautiful, safe warm-up for the spine. On an exhale, round your back, tuck your chin, drop your tail, and pull your bellies in. On an inhale, hollow out your lower back, lifting your tail, lengthening through your neck. Oh, I felt a little crack in my back. Well, I haven't been to my chiropractor lately, so healer, heal thyself. And exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, pull your bellies in. And inhale, Hollow out your lower back, lift and lengthen through your neck, lifting your tail up. And let's come back to neutral. So that's psoas muscle that I'm talking about, the muscle of the soul. We're going to work that right now. It attaches to the outside of your thoracic, but really concentrates on the lumbar area, and then it goes inside of the pelvis and attaches to the upper leg bone, which right now just escaped me for a moment, the name. But anyway, extend your right leg straight out behind you and your left arm straight out in front of you. Inhale to stretch, exhale. This is where we bring the knee and elbow together to manipulate the psoas muscle. Inhale, lengthen, exhale. The crunch is also great for the abs. Inhale to lengthen, elbow to knee on the exhale. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, knee to elbow. Last time, stretch it out and bring it all back down. Extend the opposite leg behind you. So have it as much as you can parallel with your torso as the opposite arm is too. Okay, make sure you're not crunching your neck. Have your eyes, they can be opened or closed, but they would be facing your mat. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, knee to elbow. Working your psoas on the other side. There are two of them. Lengthen and bring elbow to knee. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, knee to elbow. And let's come into our child's pose. So our modified child's pose, or you can come into the regular child's pose, Balasana, by keeping your knees underneath your hips. And maybe because we're talking about the gut microbiome, we could try that today. But if you know that that might be uncomfortable for you, spread your knees apart, but keep your toes together. So take your buttocks back towards your heels, no matter which one you're doing. Go slowly, flatten the tops of your feet. Your toes are pointing backwards, or at least they're in that direction. So if you're in child's pose proper, now you feel your torso compressed against your thighs. And then release your forehead to the floor. Although it will be higher, you may want some height. And you can fold your forearms, one on top of the other, to release your forehead onto your forearms in either posture. If your forehead is on the mat, then bring your arms around to the side of your body. And just breathe here. Think of yoga as a way of massaging, stretching, strengthening the abdominal muscles, organs, tissues, fascia. When we stretch the fascia, we moisten it. It remembers how to flex. Because remember, the fascia doesn't really stretch. It's a strong, strong muscle, thin encasing around other muscles and around organs and glands. Breathing here in Balasana. Alrighty, come on up. Now, typically if we had a little bit of a weight, but it works without weight, so it doesn't matter what you have. If you have a block nearby, take a block. I want you to come onto your backs. If you have a heavy book, or if you have something, but something you can hold in your hands. Now I do this with a kettlebell, but it will work just fine even with just a block. So have the block in your hands overhead. It's funny, somebody sent me, Jane sent me, you could hold a jug of water and it would work just as well as a kettlebell. Clearly, I don't think Jane has done the exercise, but no, it doesn't work. Kettlebells are quite a bit different. Okay, so block is over top of your head. Legs are stretched out in front. Inhale in place. Now on an exhale, Bend your knees, draw them towards your chest, lift your arms up and bring the block towards the knees. Now, when you do this slowly, you feel the strength of your abs working, and extend on an exhale all the way straight and lengthened on the mat. Okay, inhale in place, exhale. Bring the knees up towards the chest. This activates the hip flexor and the psoas, which is the strongest of the hip flexors. And you can bring your head up too and your block towards your knees. Exhale. So you can imagine if you had weight in your hands here, how much more work this would be. But if slowly, exhale, draw the knees up, lift the head up, bring the block to the knees. Exhale and down, inhale in place, exhale, and releasing. And let's do this 2 more times. Inhale in place, exhale. We'll be releasing the lower back after this, don't you worry. And releasing, legs down. We get to check in with how strong or perhaps weak our abs are. So just notice without judgment. Exhale, bring the knees, the block, lifting the head and shoulders off the mat, and release it all back down. Okay, Apanasana, wind relieving poses, because hey, we all have a little gas once in a while, don't we? Okay, now lift your shoulder blades up and tuck them under. Tilt your chin towards the center of your chest to lengthen the back of your neck. Reach your heels and your feet a little further down and reach your fingertips down. Inhale, in place, exhale. Draw the right knee up and interlock your fingers 2 inches below, avoiding the rib cage. You're pointing the shoulder or the knee towards the shoulder, and you're pulling down here on your ascending colon. So really compress that. To activate the straight leg, flex the foot and just breathe here. If you want to mobilize your ankle joint, of course, I'm sure some of you are already doing that. So, as I said, 12 to 15 pounds of impacted fecal matter. And so funny, I have a great colonic irrigationist, Marianne Paris. I have gone to her for, I don't know, 3 or 4 decades. I don't go often, but when I do go, it's really funny because I'll think, oh, I'm all cleaned out after 2. And she'll say, well, no, I don't know. Maybe you should, and it's amazing what is released. So that's why I tell you it's an intimate experience. It's not painful. Place your left hand on the outside of your right knee and bring the right knee across the body and extend the opposite arm out to the opposite side. So of course, if we were talking about hips, thighs, lower back, yeah, big stretch here. But we are focusing on the microbiome, the gut. And I am going to tell you foods such as wild blueberries, buy them frozen, wild blueberries, anything fermented. So kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh, all of these fermented foods are excellent for keeping gut bacteria healthy. And basically, avoiding the SAD diet, which is the Standard American Diet. That's an acronym for Standard American Diet, SAD, and it is SAD. Let's bring that knee back to center and extend it out in front and just bang out the back of the knee. And then bring your arms back beside your body, straighten yourself out, tilt your chin towards your chest, and tuck your shoulder blades under. Inhale, in place, exhale. Draw the left knee up, interlock your fingers 2 inches below the knee. Avoid the rib cage by pointing the knee towards the shoulder. Pull down. Let's really get into that descending colon. So the SAD diet is basically very low fiber, lots of sugar, Trans fats, saturated fat, and basically low nutrient. That will guarantee you lousy gut bacteria. That is for sure. And unfortunately, that is the way a lot of people eat. And by the way, the biggest part, the most important and largest aspect of your immune system is in your gut. Is there any wonder we have so much trouble right now with our health? No surprise. All right. Sometimes things show up to wake us up. Big wake up call right now, kids. Okay, right hand on the outside of your left knee and draw it across the body and extend your left arm out to the left side. So in yoga, we twist a lot, not just for the spine, we twist because it truly stimulates digestive organs and glands to help with metabolizing the food and eliminating the waste. So there is an expression, you are what you eat, but let's take that one step further. You are what you digest. And some of us, especially those of us with blood type A, that would be me, we have lower stomach acid, hydrochloric acid. So they're all different enzymes and acids that we need to digest our food because it's not enough to eat it. And by the way, I am a bit of a harp on this stuff, but most of us don't chew our food long enough and we swallow because we can't wait to get to that next bite. Drinking a lot of fluids with your meal, not a good idea. Ice water, terrible, terrible, terrible. You want to drink water, drink lots of it before you eat, okay? Otherwise, you are diluting your digestive enzymes, rendering them ineffective. And this can lead to lousy gut microbiome, which they know in science and medicine can result in chronic diseases like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, allergies, inflammation, and from inflammation, far too many chronic diseases are born out of inflammation. All right, bring that knee back to center, extend it straight out in front, and bang out the back of your leg. Turn your palms up for a moment and just breathe here. Remember, when you breathe with your lips together, you vibrate your vagus nerve, which is permanently the permanent connection between your brain and your gut. It stimulates and regulates heart activity, digestion, and just a general overall sense of well-being. Okay, draw the knees up into your chest, place your hands underneath the backs of your thighs, and let's rock up to a seated position. Come on over onto all fours, curl your toes under, roll back onto the soles of your feet. Please let your head hang. Again, just standing here in a soft bent knee, Uttanasana, has the ability to help your gut get a massage and just to relax a little bit, greater blood flow into the head because we're inverted, and then pressing the soles of your feet into the floor, letting your head hang, letting the weight of your head stretch out your cervical vertebra. Let's slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Okay. So we're going to do half sun salutations. Hopefully the camera angle, because tech guy seems to have disappeared for a moment. He's probably checking the feed, but because this will do a little more for our microbiome today in terms of stimulating it and bringing extra blood supply into this area, because after we compress an area, fresh arterial blood rushes in to nourish everything. All right. So half sun salutations. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Turn the palms out, bend the knees, and swan dive onto your thighs with your torso. Your fingers are tented on the floor. Inhale, lift your hips up. Let your head release from the neck and just hang loose. Exhale, bend your knees. You're coming into a tuck position. You're dropping your hips, shoulders back. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale, turn the palms out. Exhale, fingertips tented on the mat. Inhale, lift your hips, let your head hang, stretch the backs of your legs. Exhale, bend your legs, drop your hips, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side as you come up. Exhale, turn the palms out and float your arms down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lift your hips up, shine your tailbone up like a flashlight, let your head hang, the crown of your head floating towards the floor. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. One more. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, all the air out. Inhale, lift the hips up. Exhale, bend the knees, drop the hips, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side as you straighten up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Let's come down onto our tummies. Now, we don't do a lot of back bends, but we will be doing a couple of potent ones today because they are awesome for your gut microbiome, strengthening, obviously, and stretching abdominal organs. So let's begin with Sphinx Pose. Slide your elbows underneath your shoulders and your forearms straight out in front, middle fingers pointing forward. Lift up and look up without cranking the neck. Eyes can be closed here, but focused on your third eye, Ajna chakra. I'm not sure which night is the full moon, but we're definitely getting close to it. There were a lot of clouds last night, but I stopped over at the Beach Rec Center. I just walked around the hood a bit, and I saw an opening in the clouds that looked like a heart. It was quite spectacular. And then the moon entered into that heart. I've mentioned this before, that I've taken a real interest in cloud formation, and whether I'm imagining things or not, it doesn't matter. But I'm seeing a lot of shapes, signs, and seeing a heart in the clouds last night just made me feel more positive, given the circumstances around the world, with any number of things, including those besieged people in British Columbia. My heart goes out to them. Okay, let's keep the fingers spread wide apart. Let's press into the fingertips and just try to straighten the arms, all right? So this is now stretching the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is a really strong muscle that both lengthens and of course contracts. So as I said, when we stretch a muscle like the diaphragm, which has lots of that tight fascia, we moisten it so it doesn't dry out. So breathe here. Keep breathing. And one more inhale, exhale, come down onto your elbows. And then let's just let the head hang. Okay, really relax, stretching out the back of the neck, letting the weight of the head, which could be anything for adults between 12 and 15 pounds. Oh, I'm going to talk to you today too about the stress. Do you know what the strongest muscle in the body is? If this was interactive, I'd say just shout it out. If anybody said the jaw, ding, 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 the jaw is the strongest muscle in your body. Okay, come on all the way down. Now, I want you to spread your fingers, your hands, probably so that most of your fingers are off the mat, but have your fingertips level with the edges of your shoulders and place your forehead on the floor. And then I want you to spread your feet wide apart. So we're going to come into a modified Cobra. Okay. So on an inhale, roll an invisible alley to lengthen your neck. On an inhale, let's press up. Modified Cobra. Your elbows may not straighten, it's okay. So when I talk to you about the jaw being the strongest muscle in the body, and maybe you can remember this later today, when you're really focused, when you're all in on a task, just notice what your jaw is doing. I'm willing to bet it's tense, that the jaw is tense. I've done this with myself. I mean, it's not wrong. It's not bad to focus and be really committed and all in on something. Not at all. It's a good thing. But notice what your jaw is doing. Okay, one more inhale in, exhale. Come on all the way down. Ah. And we're going to bring our arms beside our body now and bring the legs back together and bring your forehead onto the floor. So there's different ideas about how many muscles it takes to smile and how many it takes to frown. But I like the idea that it's a lot more muscles. So in one article I read 47 muscles to frown and about 17 to smile. But let's face it, folks. So if we're really working hard, bring your arms onto your back, interlock your fingers as best you can, squeeze your shoulders together. So we're just going to reverse what we were doing with our shoulders just now. Plus, there's another reason we're doing this, is that you want to release some tension in your face, just smile. All right, on an inhale, lift your head up and lift your arms up, whatever amount you can. Might not be a lot, don't worry about it. As long as your fingers are interlocked, lifting up. So when we're tensing our jaw because we're so focused and committed and all in on something, that tension spreads into the neck, spreads into the shoulders. We just need to be aware. Everything that we do in life may have some risk factors or things that we need to just compensate for, basically. All right, release your hands all the way down. Turn your head to the right and just let your shoulders melt for a minute. We need to gather some energy here because we're going to do some strong back bends, but we're doing them for the benefit of the microbiome. Getting extra blood supply into this area, massaging it. And of course, just after we do one thing here, I'm going to speak to you about this idea of a leaky gut, or dysbiosis, which is the medical term for the leaky gut. Okay, let's bring the right arm in front of our heads and bend the left leg. Keep your forehead on the floor. Bend your right arm and bend your left leg. Can you grab your ankle? So left hand grabs left ankle. Now, if you take the leg a little further wider away from the center of your body, it might be easier to capture it. Alrighty, now already if you're holding on to your ankle, you're feeling an incredible stretch in the front of your thigh. Well, that's okay, isn't it? Let's lift just the leg off the floor. So everything else is going to stay on the floor. Your head stays on the floor, your arm stays on the floor. Curl the toes under of the right leg and let's lift just the left leg off the floor. So we're getting here into hip flexors, lower abs, stretching, and of course stretching the front of that thigh. So lift that leg off the floor. Lift it up as much as you can. Going to be a little bit harder to breathe here. Don't hold your breath. Lifting up, and let's release that. Okay. Bring that right arm down beside your body. Turn your head to the left side. Just take a moment here. So when we talk about leaky gut, listen, the gut needs to be permeable. And we're talking 4,000 square feet of intestinal lining. Now, we want the nutrients to penetrate that surface and get into the bloodstream. But what happens is sometimes with a bad diet, we get holes, we get tears. Sometimes we just flatten the villi of this intestinal lining, but I don't want to get too technical here. And it either discourages nutrients. In the case of the flattened villi, the nutrients can't even get through, all right? But it's more about the holes in the leaky gut. Bring your head back to center, bring the opposite arm above your head, and let's bend the other leg. So that should be your right leg, your right hand. If you get a cramp in your hamstring, just release it for a moment, breathe, and try again. Okay, and as I said, if you take the leg further out to the side, you'll have an easier time of trying to get hold of that ankle, and then try to bring the leg back in line with the hip again. And on an inhale, curl the toes under of the other leg and lift just the right leg off the floor, just the right one off the floor. So when this lining, 4,000 square feet of it, is compromised, undigested proteins, toxins, bacteria can release the leg down, release everything, and once again, turn your head to the right. Can enter into the bloodstream, and of course this now can create a bit of a problem, from allergies to all kinds of chronic diseases, as I mentioned before, like IBS, Crohn's, immune system problems. So we want to keep the gut microbiome as healthy as possible. Right diet, low stress. These things are important. And of course, yoga. There is nothing better, hands down, than yoga to address all of the health-related issues of your body. Okay, here we go. This is a big one now. Some of you may struggle with this and just not be able to get to it, but I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. Dhanyarasana. Take your legs as wide apart as possible and bend them. Wide, 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 wide. Okay, bend them. Left hand grabs left ankle. Right hand grabs right ankle. Now maybe you can just grab the pants of what you're wearing at the ankle. Do what you can. Do your best here. The wider the legs are apart, the easier it is. Some of you can grab them without even stretching your legs wide. Do what you can. If you can only reach one, then let it be. But see if you can get two. Okay? And now, inhale in place and lift. Now here's the deal with this. Kick your ankles back. Kick them back. That will pull the shoulders and the upper body off the floor. Dhanyarasana, major posture for digestion, elimination, metabolism. Also excellent for those sexual and reproductive organs and glands too. But we're not focused on that today. We're talking about the gut. trying to come up with a new slogan. Good guts, good glory. Instead of that, no guts, no glory business. Okay, and release, everyone. Good for you for trying that. Turn your head now to the left. Let your shoulders melt. Big toes touch. Heels splay out. That's a very intense posture, but it is one of the most highly beneficial postures in yoga. Dhanyarasana, huge in terms of benefits, not just for the gut microbiome, but clearly gets your shoulders back, stretches the fronts of your thighs, all back bends, improve the integrity of your spinal column. They also keep it flexible and supple. And because back bends are cardiovascularly demanding, it's strengthening the heart muscle and it's getting blood circulating well throughout the entire body. So let's see if we can try this one more time. Take your legs as wide apart as possible. Take hold of your ankles. Remember, it's the kicking of the legs back that will lift the front of the body off the floor. Now, if you feel like rocking a bit, go for it. And release. Oh, yeah. Okay, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and let's everybody take a really nice wide-kneed child's pose, Balasana. Relax. So your knees are as wide as your mat. Big toes are touching. Release your torso between your thighs and your head to the floor, or make a pillow with your forearms if that feels better for your forehead. And breathe into your side and back ribs. This is where 70% of your lungs will fill up. The stretching we do, stretching the rib cage, stretching the intercostal muscles between the ribs, is how we create more space for our lung capacity. Nobody ever said they had too much lung capacity. More is better. Most people are under breathing by way more than 50%. They are not accessing the amount of energy they could potentially have and then wonder why they have no energy. Okay, come on up. Now we're going to do a little stretching. Just one more here. Camel Pose, Ustrasana. Now, curl your toes under. I'll back up here. Okay, so if you curl your toes under, your heels are going to be closer. Now, for some of us, maybe just putting your hands on your waist with your toes curled under, or they could be flat. And just leaning backwards. Try to keep your hips over your knees. So don't go back so far that your hips go past your knees. Keep your hips over your knees. And just try to bend from the back, lifting the heart up. And let's everybody just start here. So this obviously is stretching the diaphragm and the all of the organs and glands involved in digestion, and they all are. The pancreas, especially important. Inhale, come on back up. Okay, curl the toes under. Let's place the left hand on the left heel, looking up. And then can you release the right hand onto the right heel? Shoulders back, pressing pelvis forward, relaxing your neck. Ustrasana, Camel Pose. Cardiovascularly demanding, but stretching out the entire gut, the intestines. Then bring the right hand back onto the hip and bring the left hand on and come on down onto your mats and lie on your backs for a moment to allow the benefits of your performance to be integrated. Lying flat out and relaxing for a moment. So remember, breathing with your lips together, if you can, vibrates your vagus nerve, which is permanently connected with from the brain to the gut. So I mentioned your best foods, but the other thing is alcohol doesn't do your gut any favors. Although, if you like red wine, it does contain polyphenols, which are a type of bacteria, and shown to have a positive impact on the gut microbiome. Exercise, really important. Brisk enough to increase breathing, which favorably impacts on our gut health. A lot of stress has a negative impact on everything. Now, interestingly, for those of us who are challenged with getting enough sleep, when you don't have a diverse microbiome, which means when you don't eat enough variety, and when it comes to foods, I got two rules. One is live, and the other one is rainbow. So I used to say when I was doing some shows talking about foods in shopping malls where we were featuring some of the restaurants and things, live food, live body. Dead food, you can finish that one. Or do you want to be a grape or a raisin when you grow up? So your diet will affect your sleep. So eating the color of the rainbow, the darker, deeper colors, I know most of you already know this, but just as a reminder, the deeper and darker of the colors, especially the greens, the blues, the reds, the oranges, that's where you're getting huge nutrition, just the best. And wow, so C. difficile, you've heard of that, right? That is a gut infection, often occurs from a bout of antibiotics. So I'm going to bring up antibiotics because it's amazing how many doctors don't tell you, they don't mind recommending the antibiotics, and sometimes we need them. But you must take probiotics after that. I regularly try to get probiotics into my body by adding kefir or just drinking it straight out of the jar, which is excellent. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm covering off. Okay, I'll talk to you that in a moment. But we're going to do a revolved crescent lunge because it definitely is stimulating for your digestive organs. So bring the knees up into the chest, place your hands underneath the backs of your thighs, rock up, come on over onto all fours. Step your right leg forward. I just find this to be the easiest way to get into this. There's lots of ways to get in, but I like to try and help us get into something as safely as possible. So with your right leg forward, your knee over your ankle, curl the toes of your left leg under. Bring your left elbow to the outside of that right knee. Bring the other hand on top into the mirror image and just twist your spine a lot here. So these twisting poses, of course, are the best, absolute best. And then focus your gaze somewhere on the floor and lift that back knee off the floor and press through your back heel and twist and smile. So even if you're not on a Zoom call and you're working away at your computer, which many of us do now, take a moment to just smile. That'll help relax the jaw, strongest muscle in the body. which reminds me of something that's going to sound foolish, but that's me, huh? Okay, and let's come down, which is, you know, as a single woman and somebody who was traveling a lot for work and walking around streets late at night, which I tend to do no matter where I am, knowing that your jaw is your strongest muscle, you know where I'm going with this, right? I mean, I have taken the self-defense courses, but biting, it's not a good thing, but guess what? Certainly get someone's attention to back off. Okay, let's bring the opposite right elbow to the left knee. I'm going to turn around and face the camera here. You see, so get this twist set up. Your hands in the mirror prayer position. Curl the back toes under. Focus your gaze. Lift the back knee off the floor. And breathe. Keep pressing through the heel of that back foot. Twisting. And then bring your hands to the floor. I'm going to turn around to face you. Take your legs wide apart. Turn sideways on your mat. Tent your fingers just below your face. Keep your spine long and flat. Inhale, and let's sweep the right arm up. Twist, turn, reach up, stretch up. Feel the stretch in the opposite inner thigh. Looking up maybe. Exhale, float that arm down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up. Reach, stretch, twist. Exhale, float it down. Let's lunge over to the left side. Up over to the right side. And back into the center. Walk your feet in. I hope you can take a little bit of time in Shavasana right now, flat out and relaxing. Closing your eyes, even if you can take 3 minutes, please do this. So a couple other things I'd like to mention while you're just, or if you feel like sitting cross-legged and closing your eyes, that's perfectly, would be great as well. So gut bacteria plays a decisive role in your neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters that contribute to things like serotonin. Serotonin is a mood stabilizer. Noradrenaline, also called norepinephrine, they are responsible for alertness, for arousal, you know, our reactionary time. And another important one is dopamine, and that impacts our ability to how we feel pleasure. So there is so much going on in this area of the microbiome that that we can positively impact through our diet and through our lifestyle. And one of my goals is to give you the knowledge and the tools for you to be powerful in your own healing journey and just basically having the healthiest, most active lifestyle your heart wants and desires and your soul. So thank you very, very much, as always, for joining me and sharing this beautiful practice. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.